When people imagine drinking at Epcot, often it is that fun yet massive feat of drinking around the world that comes to mind. While we do plan on creating and releasing a video for that intensive beer crawl, that is for a special occasion. And the biggest problem with drinking around the world is not enjoying the variety of drinks and activities inside each pavilion. That being the case, grab your 11 country passport, work up a thirst while walking out to the World Showcase, because today we are exploring the Great White North of the Canada Pavilion here on Toasting DW. So we are going to do all 11 of the pavilions in Epcot. Today, we'll do the first one that you'll stumble across if working counterclockwise. Undoubtedly, one of the more beautiful pavilions, Canada is home to the Victoria Gardens, which is the largest green space in the national pavilions, and it's inspired by the real Bouchard Gardens near Victoria, British Columbia. But before we get too far into Canada, we need a drink. And as we learned last time, we should never drink on an empty stomach. Rather than the wonderful table service option, let's grab a quick bite at refreshment port just before the pavilions. Now, there are many of you out there who will not consider this part of Canada. Well, why are two of the three food options poutine? Well, I actually went with lobster chips because, look. But since now that we've had something to eat, it's time to get over to that popcorn cart. And I know that may sound silly, but the popcorn cart is also the beer service option in Canada, complete with 4 beer selections: Moosehead Lager, Blanche de Chambly, La Fin du Monde, and Old Trois Choses Peach IPA. So I picked the Peach IPA. Now, this sweet beer does not hide the peach flavor. And because it's actually a Belgian-style IPA, you have that signature Belgian yeast character, making it barely recognizable as an IPA. After all, its international bitterness units is at 50, and typically IPAs are around 60 or higher. And an ABV of only 6 means it's not too strong. Perfect for exploring Canada. But first, let's check in on our beer app, such as Untapped, so we can add this to our growing list of beers. Now I'm giving this a 3.5. It's good, but it's a little too sweet, and I find myself missing that bitterness. But, to each his own, which is why we should rate them and make our own lists. But onward with our journey. In order to get to Canada's Kid Cot, we must go through the Canada Far and Wide Gate and head through the Victoria Gardens. Now, if you're unaware, every Epcot pavilion has a Kid Cot area for youngsters where they can learn about the country, they can color, and they can meet a native from, that country. Canada's is located at the exit of the new film attraction Canada Far and Wide. It's a 360-degree Canadian film, which is narrated by Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, so it's bound to be entertaining. Now, to get to the Kid Cot area, we had to walk right past the only table service option in Canada, La Cellier Steakhouse. Rated with a 4.5 star rating on Google Reviews, the steakhouse is definitely not cheap, but you will get what you pay for. My personal favorites are the ribeye, but probably more than that, the Asian-style dumplings. But you know what? We're exploring and getting near the end of our peach IPA, so let's get back to that popcorn cart, because it's time for round number 2. This time we're getting the La Fin du Monde, which means the end of the world, and my kids are begging to get to that 30-foot waterfall, so let's go. We head back through the gardens, past Le Cellier. This time we head up the River Canyon, looking for that waterfall, and it is worth the walk. It is a gorgeous recreation of the Canadian Rockies, and it also holds the entrance for Canada Far and Wide, what we were just talking about, and the kids will love that 360 experience. Now, before we go into the French Quebec style area, I want to show you this quick picture and just enjoy the view. Now, come here yourself and enjoy the taste of this beer while looking at the waterfall. A couple of quick facts about La Fin du Monde. It is an ABV of 9%, and it has a low bitterness rating of only 19 IBUs, so it can get a little dangerous. The French Canada area is a small but signature aspect of the pavilion. It features the Hotel du Canada, which is designed in the French Gothic Revival Chateauesque style and is modeled after Chateau Laurier Hotel in downtown Ottawa. Here's a Toasting DW secret. Now, people will wait in line to take photos in that red English phone booth area here at Epcot, but Canada has one too, and it never has a line, so you're welcome for that. The last section of our journey is dedicated to the early pioneers and the indigenous peoples of Canada, known as the First Nations. This area is complete with 3 totem poles, one of which is a true wooden totem pole depicting the raven tricking the Sky Chief into releasing the sun, moon, and stars into the sky. This area is also where you will find 2 shops, the Trading Post and Northwest Mercantile. The 2 shops are connected and offer some pre-packaged food, some Canadian art, and a good amount of clothing, especially some hockey branded style clothing, of course. But we're almost out of time, and I'm almost out of beer. So let's hit up that popcorn cart one more time. This time, we are going to get some of that amazing maple popcorn, and it's time for round 3. So our last beer will be Blanche de Chambly. Now the bottle and the tap feature the beer's namesake, Fort Chambly. It's a citrusy Belgian-style wheat beer that has been named the world's best white beer on numerous occasions. It has a low ABV and a low IBU, but you do need to be ready for the bubbles. So we got our popcorn in hand, and it's time to get over to the mill stage at the edge of the pavilion, because the live acts at Epcot are always fantastic. As of the release of this video, the act is Sir Wah, a fun bluegrass and Celtic-inspired band. But being afraid of copyright rules, I simply ask you to search them here on YouTube if you're interested in checking them out. Well, our journey in Canada has come to an end, and we've sampled some fine food and consumed some tasty beers. Hopefully, I've convinced you to explore Canada on your own at Epcot rather than just walk on by. And hopefully, I've convinced you to explore Disney World with a drink in hand here with us on Toasting DW. Thank you for your time. Please throw down a like. Don't forget to subscribe and even click that alert bell so you know when it's time for a drink. Feel free to tell us what locations you'd like to see us do in the future down in the comments. Keep an eye out for our next video, and until then, remember to be toasting DW.